Over the course of the time that you were there that day, did you have any interactions with Miss Heard?
Yes, I certainly did. Yeah.
Can you describe those for us, please?
Yes, not too much initially. She was very, as I said, quite hysterical and crying a lot, and Jerry Judge was taking care of her, keeping her calm. But later in the evening, it was suggested that Miss Heard go to a local hotel, to leave the house, go to a local hotel, which then became a suggestion that she go back to LA. And that's, I think, when I started interacting in terms of, at some point, I volunteered to travel with her to LA.
How did Miss Heard respond to the suggestion that she leave for Los Angeles?
She was resistant to both of those suggestions, very resistant. She really didn't want to go and said, I can't leave, I can't leave. You know, it'll be the end if I leave. Those sorts of things. And so it was just, these went over a few hours. There was negotiations, if you like, and eventually Ms. Heard agreed that I would fly with her.
And did you, in fact, fly with her?
I did, on Monday the 9th.
Okay. Sticking with Sunday, when you were interacting with her on that Sunday, how close were you to her?
Very close, you know, like very close, in front of her.
And do you recall observing any injuries on Miss Heard?
No, none whatsoever.
Did you notice anything unusual about her physically at all?
No, I mean, she was obviously crying a lot. She had red eyes, and but no, otherwise no.
Okay. So what happened the following day, that Monday, March 9th, I guess it would be, 2015?
Right. So, I mean, it was eventually agreed that I would fly with Miss Heard, so I had to at some point go back to my apartment, drive to my apartment to pick up my passport, which, funnily enough, I hadn't brought with me, and some clothes, you know, a bag to take. So I think I left the house early hours, as I said, 2, 3, may have been a bit later, a.m. I drove back to my apartment, which was 30 minutes drive south, picked up those things. I mean, I didn't know how long I was going to go for, but I knew I was traveling, so passport, quick shower, pick up a bag of clothes, and I drove back up to the house. I don't recall exactly what time I arrived there, but I know we had to leave. All the arrangements were being made by the travel agent, and Jerry Judge was liaising with them to make the flight arrangements, and which I believe was going mid to late morning. So I think we had to leave the house around 7 or 8 a.m. that morning, Monday the 9th.
And did you travel to the airport with Miss Heard?
Yes, we were driven.
How would you describe her demeanor that morning?
Calmed down a fair bit. She was mostly on the phone, to be honest, for pretty much the whole of that car journey, to various people, one of which I believe was Mr. Depp.
Do you recall her saying anything on the ride to the airport about what had happened the night prior?
Nothing really mentioned in that as way of an explanation, no.
What happened when you got to the airport, if anything?
We were running a bit late, but I remember that. Luckily, we were traveling first class, so the driver knew to pull up to a kind of VIP, for want of a better word, VIP check-in point. And so the car got pretty close to where the desk was. Miss Heard was still on the phone, and so we'd sat there for a bit with the driver, and Miss Heard was talking, I don't know who to at that point. And I was thinking, we need to make this flight actually pretty soon, because we were already running a bit late. So I decided to go in, maybe I can go in, check in our bags ahead, and then come back and get misheard. She should be finished by then, which is what I did.
And did you eventually get on the plane?
Eventually we did. It was a close call, to be honest.
Once you were on the plane, did you have any conversations with Ms. Hurd?
Yes, I mean, not initially, which took some time in the bathroom. She was on the phone again to the point where the cabin crew had to sort of tap on the door and say, we need to leave now. Everybody needs to sit down. And she did come to sit down, after 10 or 15 minutes in there. And so eventually, and luckily, as I said, we were flying first class, which was lovely. She was in the window seat, I think it was 1A, 1B window seat. I had the aisle seat. And finally, we could both sit down, and in way of conversation, wasn't a great deal, to be honest. I did sort of say, finally, so what happened? Obviously referring to the house. And, I mean, she didn't give much explanation, if any. She did say, Ben, have you ever been so angry with someone you just lost it with them? And I sort of said, no, actually, I'm pretty calm, even-tempered guy. But she did repeat it. She looked pretty incredulous that I hadn't, and she repeated it. You mean you've never lost it with somebody, got so angry with someone you just lost it with them? And I said, unless you count the sort of time when I was 14 years old and I hit the light switch in my bedroom because I wasn't allowed out that night or something. With a person, no, never. And that was pretty much the end of the conversation. She dropped it then.
How would you describe her tone when she asked those questions of you?
To me, incredulous, would be fair to say. Surprised that I hadn't lost it with somebody.
Does anything else stand out about that flight?
It was fairly calm. After that, it was calm. But I mean, we were both exhausted. I certainly was. And I think, I can't remember eating either. Just slept most of the flight until obviously we landed, or were close to landing.